Hi guys, it's Daniel here again. In this video I want to talk about 3 things that you absolutely have to avoid if you want to have peak mental performance. So these are 3 things that you wouldn't really think about that can really tank your mental performance on any given day. So I normally talk about things that can boost your mental performance, both in the short term and in the long term. But these 3 things I'm going to talk about today are things that can really hurt your mental performance. They can drop you down 10 or 20% below your baseline mental performance. So you really need to make sure you're not doing these things, especially if you've got something really important coming up, like a big meeting or a big exam or something like that. You really need to make sure you're avoiding these things because it can really hurt your performance. So the first one is taking probiotics. So again, this is something you wouldn't really think about. Everyone talks about the health benefits of taking probiotics. It's meant to help your gut bacteria. It's meant to give you more good bacteria so that you have a better balance between good and bad bacteria in your gut. So everyone exclaims the health benefits of probiotics, but no one really talks about the negatives. So what I found is anytime I take probiotic, I will have about a 20% drop in my mental performance. And it can last from a day up to a couple of days even from just taking probiotics. So I used to take it a few times to try and improve my overall health because, again, everyone talks about the health benefits of probiotics. But yeah, I saw a significant drop in my mental performance every single time I've taken it, and it's very consistent. It's a proven thing now. And I think the reason why it drops your mental performance is it just disturbs your gut bacteria, and your gut bacteria is actually what makes most of the neurotransmitters for your brain. So if you're disturbing your gut bacteria too much, then you're probably just disturbing the production of neurotransmitters that you need for optimal mental performance. So really you need to not be disturbing your gut too much. So another one is antibiotics as well. Of course, antibiotics just kill all the bacteria in your body, both good and bad bacteria. So that also has a huge negative impact on your mental performance. But that one's kind of more known because that's like a medication, so it's a more known thing. But probiotics, you can get it from any supermarket, and it's something that is told to you that it's a very healthy thing, that it's good for you, it will make you healthier in all these different ways. But no, it will severely hurt your mental performance. So if you have a big meeting or a big exam or something coming up, make sure you don't take any probiotic a couple of days before that. So that's the first one. So there's actually a couple more of these kind of weird things that hurt your mental performance that you wouldn't really think about. So the second main one that I've really been thinking about, well, there's kind of 2. So one is the buildup of stress that you haven't really noticed. So when you're in a very calm and relaxed state and you have no stress, then you'll notice that. You'll know that you're in a very calm place with no stress. And when you're in the opposite state, very stressed out and very affected by stress and kind of worn down by it, you'll also know when you're in that state. But you won't know when you're in the middle state. You won't know when you're in between, when you've just got a little bit of stress build up, but not too much, where it doesn't really show itself in an obvious way. When you're in that state, your mental performance can easily be 10 to 20% lower. And that's at a point when you wouldn't really notice it. You wouldn't really know why your mental performance is 10 to 20% lower, but it's the buildup of these stresses, and even just a mild buildup of stress that you haven't even noticed that it's manifested in your life. At that point, you can easily have a 10 to 20% drop in your mental performance. So that's something to be mindful of. Now, this can be caused by just everyday stress, and it can also be caused by sleep stress. So effectively getting suboptimal sleep. Because if you get optimal sleep, then your stress resilience will be far higher. So that it's really quite hard to get into these states where you're starting to build up an accumulation of stress. So that's one key thing to avoid this, is to really optimize your sleep. But it can't always be avoided. You know, there's always stress in day-to-day life, in your work, in your business, things like that. Things happen, and it's really hard to avoid it happening. But what you really need to do is try and be as conscious as possible that you're starting to have an accumulation of stress. because everyone notices it when it's accumulated too much. Then you start getting irritable, you start snapping at people, it starts really affecting your sleep. Those are obvious signs of too much stress buildup. But when it's only built up a little bit, there are no obvious signs really. The only obvious sign is a 10 to 20% drop in your mental performance. And of course, you really need to avoid that if you want to be performing at your peak on a day-to-day basis. So a couple of things to prevent that, of course, is optimizing your sleep. I'm going to make a separate video on that, how I'm optimizing my sleep. But just doing simple things throughout the day, like just mindfulness, a little bit of meditation is good, and just breath work is the simplest and most effective way to just lower your stress levels on a day-to-day basis. So just taking 5 minutes out of your day to just focus on actually taking deep breaths, because when you have this accumulated stress, even a little bit, you'll be taking shallower breaths without really noticing it. So just taking 5 minutes out of your day to just focus on breathing deeply and calmly and just trying to relax for 5 minutes. And if you do that a couple of times per day, you can really prevent this accumulation of stress that can drop your mental performance. So that's the second kind of thing that you wouldn't really think about that can really impact your mental performance. And the third one is another very counterintuitive thing that you definitely wouldn't think about, and that is sleeping earlier. So what heaps of people might do is, if they have a big meeting coming up or a big exam or something like that, they might think, okay, I will go to bed an hour earlier tonight. I'll get 1 hour more sleep and I'll be nice and fresh and sharp tomorrow for my exam or my big meeting or whatever is going on tomorrow. But no, if you sleep earlier, it will actually have the opposite effect. It will have a huge negative effect on your mental performance. So the reason why it does this is because it disrupts your circadian rhythm. So basically your body syncs up all the release of hormones and the timing of different sleep stages at night. So it accurately knows when you go to sleep each night. So it knows when to start giving you melatonin so that you start getting tired so that you can fall asleep. And then once you've fallen asleep, it knows when to put you into deep sleep and then when to put you into REM sleep. And then in the morning, it knows when to give you cortisol to wake you up and get you ready for the day. And if you sleep even an hour earlier, then when you're in bed, you don't have the melatonin to really fall asleep because your body is used to giving you melatonin 1 hour later. So you won't really fall asleep as effectively. So that first hour won't be very effective sleep. And then because that first hour isn't very effective, then you won't really get into the sleep stages effectively either. So your deep sleep will be then affected, and then your REM sleep will be affected. And then in the morning, your body won't know exactly when to give you cortisol and in what amounts. So then when you wake up, you won't have enough cortisol to really get you through the day. You won't be as awake as you should be. So by sleeping an hour earlier, you'll actually drop your mental performance by over 20%. That's what I found, and I've actually researched this separately. I've actually proven that there's a lot of research on this as well. But it's what I found in myself, and then I've proven it in research as well. So yeah, that's a very counterintuitive thing, because a lot of people would think if there's something very important the next day, a big exam or something like that, a lot of people would think, okay, I'll go to bed an hour earlier and then I'll be at my peak the next day, when actually the opposite will happen and you'll be 20% dumber than you were the day before. So there is something a lot better you can do. So instead of going to bed an hour earlier, you should spend that same hour just getting ready for bed. Try and relax yourself as much as possible. Try and calm yourself down. Try and lower your resting heart rate. Dim the lights, maybe read a book, have a hot shower or a hot bath or something like that. Just try and relax yourself as much as possible for that hour, and then get into bed at your usual time. And that will be far more effective, and then you actually will be sharper the next day. You actually will be more intelligent the next day because your sleep will be more effective that night rather than less effective. So yeah, these are just 3 things that I've noticed that most people wouldn't really notice, and they can have a significant effect, negative effect on your mental performance. So these are just 3 things to watch out for on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, guys, if you like this content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Cheers, guys.